You do not want to be a public success and a private mess. If your employees audited your private life, would it increase or erode their trust in your leadership? Does your character exceed your brand? Part of being a leader is becoming the type of person that somebody would follow. Not leading is actually robbing people of the gifts that you have. Leadership is proven under constraint. It's not proven when you're in front of a stage. If everything you built doubled tomorrow, would your character sustain it? And if you were to ask people like what leadership is, I think you get very interesting answers, yeah? And as I was thinking about this, I found myself in a place that I didn't necessarily think initially that I would be learning about leadership, but like, of course I would on reflection, is I was in a men's Bible study and we were going through the book of Timothy. And for those of you who perhaps maybe haven't read that or read it a while ago, just for context, Timothy is a letter that's actually written from a mentor to his mentee, right? So the Apostle Paul, the guy who had the experience on the road to Damascus, went from persecuting Christians to writing the majority of the New Testament, that guy, and his mentee, Timothy, who's an aspiring pastor. What Paul is teaching Timothy is how to go about selecting leaders within the church. And what I found like so interesting and kind of like this great reversal is Paul didn't spend any time talking to Timothy about what leaders should look like physically. Didn't say they should be tall, skinny, blonde, brunette, brown, purple, nothing. He didn't spend any time on what skills they should possess. He spent the entire time telling Timothy what character traits they should have. As this is a leadership retreat and we are leaders in both production and we're both leaders in attraction, part of being a leader is becoming the type of person that somebody would follow. If I'm having a hard time attracting, I need to start paying attention to, am I the type of person that somebody would follow? Because I have conversations with broker owners all the time, the ones that have the most problems are the ones that are getting older and have no succession plan. They have nobody to hand it off to. Right? So part of leadership is in your organizations, finding individuals that have these qualities and characteristics and begin to cultivate and pour into them and help them. But remember, I can't give somebody something that I don't already possess. So here's coming directly from 1 Timothy, okay? This is, again, the Apostle Paul sharing with Timothy specifically what he should be looking for as far as character traits in leaders. Now, the overseer, which is somebody who oversees others, that's a leader, yes, is to be above reproach, faithful to his wife, temperate, self-controlled, respectable, hospitable, and able to teach. Not given to drunkenness, not violent but gentle, not quarrelsome, not a lover of money. He must manage his own family well and see that his children obey him. And he must do so in a manner worthy of full respect. Pay close attention to this, guys. If anyone does not know how to manage his own family, how can he take care of God's church? He must not be a recent convert, or he may become conceited and fall under the same judgment as the devil. He must also have a good reputation with outsiders, so that he will not fall into disgrace and into the devil's trap. In the same way, deacons, which just means helpers, are to be worthy of respect, sincere, not indulgent in much wine, and not pursuing dishonest gain. They must keep hold of the deep truths of the faith with a clear conscience. They must first be tested, and then if there is nothing against them, let them serve as deacons or leaders. Leadership attraction at its highest level is really about becoming the type of person that somebody would follow. So let's start to kind of break some of these down. Being above reproach. Hey, I might be really good in business, but if you could look in other areas of my life, Everybody look at me. You do not want to be a public success and a private mess. Here's a question. Where are you most exposed morally or relationally? Does your character exceed your brand? We spend so much time focused on the brand, self-control and sobriety. Now he said drunkenness. He didn't say you can't drink. He said drunkenness. Emotional regulation. Under pressure, do you lead with discipline or do you react with impulse? Ooh, you hear a little, right? Under pressure, do you lead with discipline or just react with impulse? Where do stress and ego hijack your decision making? Do you ever justify unhealthy habits because of performance? Do I ever justify not getting enough sleep because of performance? Do I ever justify, hey, I'll just have a couple glasses of wine because I've been performing really, really hard? What patterns quietly undermine long-term authority? Faithfulness in marriage. You know what Jose said to me? He said to me when he was like 26, 27, he said, Aaron, you're the only man in my life. No dad, like no family member, no anybody in my life, friend, ever told me that being faithful was cool. Or singleness, right? Covenant integrity. Does your closest relationship reflect the same excellence you demand in business? We spend so much time, demanding excellence in business. Is our closest relationship, do we demand excellence there as well? Is your spouse, if I was just to look at them, or your significant other thriving or just surviving your leadership pace? Are you emotionally accessible at home? What competes for your loyalty? Success, image, admiration, managing household well, private stewardship. If your home is a training ground for leadership, what culture are you building there? Are you present or preoccupied? Do your children experience security or intensity? What would your family say that your leadership feels safe? Public leadership without private stewardship is instability waiting to surface. Not a lover of money. Motivation check. If revenue doubled tomorrow, would your identity shift? How do you handle disagreement from someone below you in authority? Are you like, excuse me, I'm the boss, don't you know who I am? True authority does not need to overpower people. Here's a really good one, and I want you guys to be really clear with the answer. Who can challenge you without fear? Are you spiritually deeper than your public persona? There's somebody that I know who, if you look at their platforms, it looks like they are just crushing life. And I know behind the scenes, it is an absolute mess. Hey, look, growth without grounding produces collapse. Do you realize without the grounding that Alex and Denise have in their marriage, it would have led to collapse? Money can support your life, but only God can satisfy your soul. Well thought of by outsiders. Would your competitors respect you even if they disagree with you? Is your reputation clean in business? Do vendors and partners trust your word? If you say you're going to do something, you're going to do it. Does your integrity cost you deals? You know, I appreciated Adeli's like candor where she was like, bro, like in this world, particularly in that investment world, there's a lot of people who don't have the highest level of integrity. But it would bother her. She would call me like, I don't feel right about this, right? Influence without integrity is temporary. Dignified and sincere. Is there a gap between your platform voice and your private life? How many of you guys know people who profess something in their public and then in the private it's entirely different? You're like, who is that? Too many. Where are you tempted to perform? What would radical transparency expose? You know what it would expose for most of us? That we're all just trying to figure this out. We all have things that we're grappling with. We all have things that we're struggling with. We're all walking through different seasons. That's what it would actually expose. Like, where are you tempted to perform for the glory of man? Yeah? Looking for applause. I'm looking for accolades. I'm looking for strokes. Right. I'm tempted to perform with a mask, which is not actually in alignment with who I actually am. Yep. Is your faith integrated or is it compartmentalized? I thought it was so interesting. I was on a Bible study call and I was like, I heard this thing which I thought was so cool. It was a basketball coaches. And he was saying, like, some people, basketball coaches, they let Christ in the building, but he's in the rafters. Some people allow him in the building, and maybe he's sitting in the front row. Some people allow him in the building, and maybe he's on the bench, but very few allow him in the building, and they're standing right next to him while he's talking to the players. Do I allow God in my business? Or is it integrated? Is it only something I do on the weekend? Hey, I got this part, and I'll go do that on the weekend. Congruence builds lasting authority. Tested, resilient under pressure. What season of pressure most exposed your character, and what did it reveal? One of those seasons for me, my mom had a brain bleed when I was 27. She was 46. And I was in a room prospecting. And my dad calls me. It's not weird that he called me, because we have a good relationship, but it's weird that he called me that early in the morning. And you ever had a feeling where you know something's wrong, but you don't know? It's like, I don't know what it is yet. I felt that. I stopped what I was doing, picked up the phone. He told me she was having a brain bleed, going into emergency surgery, and 50-50 chance she'll make it. I should stop everything I'm doing and come home, which I did. I also, within 3 days, shut down my business and moved back home. Who are you when it gets difficult? Where do you still compensate from past wounds? How do you respond when control is removed? Leadership is proven under constraint. It's not proven when you're in front of a stage. It's not proven when you're on a platform. It's not proven when you're on a panel. It's not proven when somebody's interviewing on a podcast. It's proven under constraint. When Jack goes through one of the most difficult things in his life, and I'm on the phone with him every single day.
One thing I realized, Aaron, like even in the past year, is like whatever keeps coming up for me where I'm getting really frustrated or really triggered is the one thing that I have to work on. So like and now I can talk about it. Like I struggled with conflict. I didn't like to have difficult conversations. And even in this season of my life, it was still coming up for me. So anytime like a conflict would happen, I would feel triggered. And then I was like, this is just something that I need to work on, and God's putting these situations for me to grow from it. So as soon as I realize that, I do that now with everything that shows up, that it's becoming a pattern for me. I just study it, I read about it, I talk to my therapist, but I face it because I know if I don't face it, I'm never going to be on the other side of it. And that has helped me grow as a leader because now I can teach my team, my partner, the people around me. So now I'm a lot better at conflict. It's not something that I seek, but I know how to navigate it better because I was able to like just move through it.
Yes, and part of leadership is constructively working through conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Listen, part of leadership is doing what other people don't want to do or can't.
And I realized though how so many people are conflict avoidance, and how if I would have continued to stay in that pattern, I would have never been able to lead them because I still had that same struggle.
Which goes back to what you're saying, it would limit your gift to be able to share it with other people. Okay. So focused on character under responsibility. So which qualification strengthens your leadership most, and which one, if neglected, could dismantle everything you've built? If everything you built doubled tomorrow, would your character sustain it? I heard a pastor say something which I thought was magnificent. He said, if most of you guys actually got what you wanted, it would destroy you because you do not have the character to carry it. And in the Bible, there's always an anointing and an appointing, but in the middle is a season of disappointment. Why? Because God wants to work on our character. Silently reflect, and we're going to rate ourselves on a scale from 1 to 5, and we're going to go through each one, right? So ask yourself, where am I the strongest? Where am I the most fragile? What would my spouse and partner say? What would my executive team say? And we're going to send you a slide deck. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. My bad. Go ahead. You want to take a picture? Good.
Can we get?
Oh, yeah. We're going to give you a slide deck. Yeah. Gabrielle will send it out to you. So above reproach, 1 to 5. My private life would withstand public scrutiny. Hey, scale from 1 to 5. 5 being, it'll definitely withstand public scrutiny. 1 being, I would not want that to happen because of what they would find. There are no hidden habits that threaten my credibility. I don't think Jose would, I'm pretty sure, and if he does, who cares? He wouldn't mind me sharing this. He was telling me one time, this wasn't that long ago, he was operating from this mental map where like once a year, he would like blow off steam. You go out. I've been working really hard, whatever. I'm going to go out and have some drinks, right? Now, if you notice him, all of us here are very compulsive individuals. We just have healthy compulsions. So I promise you, if you take a compulsive individual who's competitive and you put them in that environment, they are going to do that full tilt. So he found himself out way later than he should be, and he walks into a place, continuing the night, and one of our partners is in the room and loves him and says to him, you need to go home right now. Because, bro, you're the king of this area. Everybody knows you. And I love you so much, I need to protect you from all these people, because all these people, like, this is not where it needs to be. And then he told me what was going on, and it was wild, because I had just been in church, and we were talking about how, like Bathsheba, where David, he's starting to get soft, really. The guys are going out to war. He's like, I'm going to stay back. And while he's staying back, he can't sleep. He's walking around the roof, and he sees through the window Bathsheba, who's gorgeous, and she's taking a bath, and she's naked. And he says to his guy, who is that? And he says, that's my his best general's wife. That would be like him saying, hey, that's Mariela, Jose's wife. It should stop there, yes? Yes, 100%. What did David do? Go bring her to me. He's the king. Can she say no to the king? No, and she's like, please don't do this. He does it. And then David, he knows he didn't do something right? So her husband, who is the kind of best general, Bathsheba comes to him and says like, hey, I'm pregnant. He's like, oh, this is terrible. So the general comes back and David's like, hey, go be with him. Yeah, go sleep with him. So that way there's no way he could say that it's mine. But he's like his right-hand man. He sits like in front of the castle. I'm not leaving. There's more work to do. He's like, oh my God. So you know what David does to try to cover up his mistake? He sends him to the front lines where he knows he's going to die. So to satisfy his lust, he ended up killing somebody over that. But here's what I told this to Jose. Acorns turn into oak trees. We think, it's just a little tiny thing. But acorns turn into oak trees. And then you know what Jose promptly did? He hasn't drinking anything since.
That's great.
Because it's easier to keep 100% of my keep my commitments 100% of the time than 95% of the time. And it's not worth it to him. It's not worth what I've built. It's not worth any of that.
Yeah.
Right?
We had a guy in EXP that was consistently earning over $80,000 a month in rev share, but he would go out and he would go hard. Mm-hmm. And in one of those events where he was going hard, he was reflecting on a recruit that he lost to real, and he decided in that moment when he was off his rocker that the reason that we didn't get the recruit is because of Glenn Sanford, and went public with some comments. He is no longer at EXP and he no longer collects rep share. And I feel for the guy because like he's like borderline suicidal at this point. But lost it all.
Somebody
lost it all. Lost it all because of
this.
Because of this.
Guys, acorns turn into oak trees, right? So, and lovingly, and because I love him like a brother, because he is a brother from another mother, when I heard that, I told him that story. But he got, bro, and you know where you get in something with him, because he's in, he's such a California, he was like, damn, bro, like it penetrated, right? And I think like as leaders, we need to lovingly do that with each other if we notice those sorts of things. Next one, self-control and sobriety. I respond under pressure with discipline, not impulse. My habits, physical, digital, financial, support long-term leadership. That's another thing. Hey, everybody look at me. You are training your algorithms what to show you. If you hand me your phone and something's popping up, it's because you've trained it to show it to you. Stress does not control my tone or decision-making.
Stress is an acronym, by the way. Stop taking real estate so seriously.
Let's go. I love that, dude. And truthfully, like this, I'm not pretending to be perfect at this at all. And there was definitely a stage in my life when I had stress, particularly in business, and I was working with Carla. I would, be aggressive, and she'd be like, hey, I'm your wife. Like, what are you doing? Chill out. And not what you think, but what your significant other would say.
Your answer does.
Your answer does not count. My spouse, family experiences my leadership as safe and loving, or am I barking and yelling and screaming all the time? I wake up, not at some ridiculous time early, something, 5:36. One of the first things I do is spend time reading and in prayer, because I'm the spiritual leader of my house. I want to be, one of the first things I do when I wake up is to pray for my wife, pray for my children. I lead spiritually in my house. My children see me reading the Bible. They see me in the Word. My leadership at home matches my leadership at work. Mission drives me more than financial milestones. Did you hear that from Adelis? It's starting to happen for her? I can make principled decisions even if they cost me money. How important is that? I can do the right thing even when it costs me money. My identity is not tied to my revenue or net worth. Gentle, not violent. Power, under control. People feel safe to disagree with me. Guys, if your staff, if your team members, if people can't come to you this stuff and they don't feel safe, you're not a leader. You're a dictator. I handle criticism without defensiveness. Anybody besides me, is that a little difficult sometimes? My strength is controlled, it's not intimidating. Ask yourself this question, you ready? How many people do I have in my life do I give them permission to correct me? How many people do I have in my life that I give them permission to correct me? Right? So it's having people in your life that like you actually give permission for them to speak into you, to breathe into you. And I do that based on their character. You know what's one of the best compliments? If any wife here knows that their husband's hanging out with me, they're like, he's good. That's trust, yes?
Aaron, if we talked about the equities, spiritual, if you have 1 to 2 people in those categories as your board that you allow access, because be careful who you accept praise from, because you'll equally open your brain to criticism. So the people that I allow to criticize me are the people that when they say it, if they say it and I go, I got to look at something.
Yeah.
There's something there. That's a root that's taken, weed that's taking root. So when those people say it, it's like, and I have that board.
Yeah.
And other people go, oh, that's so nice. Or they'll tell you you're great. Like, oh, that's kind. But when those people speak in that lane, that's like, ooh.
Yeah, and as leaders, I would propose that there's twofold to that, because your question was kind of for you. Like, what does that look like kind of for me? But it's also, how do I be that person for the people that I lead? So well thought of by outsiders. Marketplace witness. My business reputation is clean and trustworthy. I never want anybody to be in a room where they're like, that guy is not a good, you know what I'm saying? Nobody. Competitors, partners, respect my integrity. I know in Jose's marketplace, they might not like him, and many of them don't because he dominates, but they do respect his integrity. The vendors do, right? You're in his marketplace, everybody does. Same with like all you guys. Neil, I know for sure, you go into Neil's marketplace, you could talk to his direct competitors that competes with on the regular basis, they'll be like, Neil's the real deal. He's a great guy. Super high level of integrity. And we think it's like, oh, it's skills, it's this, it's that. No, you know what? Probably, 80% of it is his character. My word is dependable under pressure.
Hey, Aaron.
Yeah.
How many people here are less than, let's say, 7 years in real estate? Just raise your hand if you're less than. I know there's a few. Yeah, for sure you are. Give me 10. 10 years or less.
Less.
Okay, so then I want to say this for you guys. A lot of the qualities that he's talking about may seem foreign to you. You're just trying to build something right now. But I promise you, you will not have longevity. Like, you won't make it long term. It's too difficult without this. So, how many years?
42.
42 years. 35. Who else has like 20 plus?
Mm-hmm.
How many?
26.
10. Like, you don't make it 12, 15, 20, 26. Think about the job, right? You don't make it without what we're finishing with here. But the longevity won't happen. You'll crash and burn, or you just won't achieve your goals or do something else. But if you do, like, this is really, really important. It's really important because you can sleep at night.
So like, I can give you the strategy on like media and marketing and it all makes sense. If you don't do this, you probably won't build and you won't last.
Yeah, this is foundation.
This is the foundation. Dignified and sincere. There's no significant gap between my public persona and private life. You know, one of the best compliments I get from people when they meet me in person, if they've been watching content, you're exactly the way you are in content as you are in person. You're the same dude. Do not perform spiritually for approval. My leadership is authentic and it is consistent. Tested. Resilience under pressure. Trials have refined rather than hardened me. Some people, when they get trials, they get real bitter, they get victim-y, they blame everybody, right? But they've refined me. I respond to loss and disruption with stability. Yeah? There's a point in my life, deal falls apart, we're having temper tantrums. Yeah? People won't get a price reduction. I'm like, go back to Carly's. People are stupid and dumb. Can you believe them all, right? But I respond to loss and disruption with stability. Pressure reveals my maturity, not fractures. Jose gave me a good example because he learns from me, but I learned from him. I went out there, we were spending time, me and Carla went out there, we did an event, whatever, and we rented a car, and I lost the keys, and I blamed it on Carla. I was like, babe, she's like, yeah, he did. I'm like, you had to touch them because I know I left them here, blah, blah, blah. And I start to get a little, right? Because you lose the keys, it costs money, like that sort of thing. Jose looks at me, he's like, hey bro, what's the worst possible scenario? I'm like, I don't know, I gotta pay $500. He's like, you have $500, right? I was like, yeah. So he's like, let's just enjoy the rest of our time. Then we're out somewhere right before we go home. I'm like, let me check the suitcase one more time. I opened it up, they were in my pocket. Yeah, that didn't reveal a lot of maturity on my part, okay? So then when we're done with all this, we end up with a score. And then what's really cool about this, we can say, hey, my strongest category is whatever that is. And then most importantly, because that's the one we want to focus on as achievers, the one we should focus on primarily is what's my most vulnerable category? That needs the most work. Then I would suggest who in this room can I get proximity to that can help me with that? Next one, if neglected, this area can really threaten my leadership. If I let success build like a balloon, like pride, it's really going to affect my leadership. If I don't get this other vice under control, it's really going to affect my leadership. And what's one specific action I'll take in the next 30 days to work on this, whatever this is? Right? Whatever that kind of vulnerable category is, or this area that can really threaten my leadership. So remember, talent builds platforms, character sustains them. Talent builds platforms. Yes? So John was telling us that story. That's a warning. In the Bible, there are examples and there's warnings. Yeah? That's a warning. Talent built a platform. Character did not sustain it. So whatever it is I'm building, if I want it to sustain, I have to be intentionally and purposely working on my character. Because that'll help me to be a better leader. It'll help me to lead those that, on my teams. It'll help me lead those in organizations. And that's the whole goal and objective of what we're doing here, yeah, at this leadership retreat. So with that is the culmination of our programming, right? And I just want to really say thank you for taking the time to be with us. It really, I'm so proud to be in business with everybody that's in this room. I really hope that you feel that way too. I look around this room, I'm like, hell yeah, bro, those are my team, dude. Those are my people, right? Proud to be in business with you. And my hope and wish and prayer is that you'll take this information and you'll really integrate it. Please don't have this be something where you took a lot of notes and you're like, oh, that was really cool, and you go home and do nothing. Please go back on your way back later tonight on your plane ride, really go through your notes and pick out, 3, 4, 5 things that you want to integrate. Use the relationships that are in this room. You know what this is? If we were a corporation, these are the executives. That's what it is. This is just a meeting of owners and executives. Use each other. Reach out to each other. We're all here to help each other grow and expand. And as our leadership increases, and our specialized knowledge increase, we can just impact more people. I told Carla when we started off on this is just a ministry. The more people we can bring into the ecosystem, the more we can pour into them and love on them and help them. And in doing so, have an impact on a lot of people. So I wouldn't want to be having an impact with anybody else than these people in this room. I appreciate you. I love you. I hope you have safe travels back home. We still have time together today at the facility to do what we want. But I just want to say thank you very, very much for being here.
Thank you.
You'll never get rich trading time for money. You must own equity.
I owned a franchise. That's actually a confrontational, frictionful experience.
Yes, whoever solves for that principal and agent problem the best wins. When A-plus talent rises to the top and there's no more opportunity, what do? They leave. Cash is oxygen to a business.
We're an experiment in distributed leadership. We are an operating platform that allows real estate entrepreneurs to build whatever size dream they want.